Hello and welcome. Today we are talking about colons versus semicolons. What the hell are they? What's the difference? How do you use them and how do you not use them? These two mystery pieces of punctuation have haunted your keyboard for far too long. You're a bit scared to use them because you don't really know what they are. More importantly, you don't use the difference and you use them interchangeably and switch them around. You've got no idea what you're doing. You kind of figure there's a 50% chance that you're getting it right. Watch this video, my friend, and there is a 100% chance you will get it right. So, for those of you who don't know, this is a colon and this is a semicolon. They look kind of similar, right? And they've got a pretty similar name, so it's understandable that you are baffled. I'm here to destroy all of your hesitancy, and by the end of this video you're probably going to be slinging those two pieces of punctuation around like there's no tomorrow. So shall we get started? Let's start with the colon, used to introduce or define. The colon wears two kind of hats really. It can be used to connect two clauses of unequal relevance and two clauses of equal relevance. Now this is going to sound totally bananas and like it doesn't make sense, but by the end of the explanation of the colon you're totally going to get it, so bear with me here. So the colon is used for kind of three main purposes. The first is introductory, so to format a list, for example. So the best explanation of this would be: I detest popular music. Rihanna, the Spice Girls, Coldplay, Drake. That statement is of course an example and a complete lie. Like, I love the Spice Girls, so it's purely an example. The reason that this works is because I'm introducing a list of items, but more importantly the reason that it works is because it comes after a complete sentence. I detest popular music. Then you can use your colon. You can't use it after a sentence fragment. For example, I detest popular music, for example, Rihanna, I detest popular music, for example, is not a complete sentence. You would never use that as a sentence. It's got half of another sentence tacked on the end after a comma. It's not a complete sentence. So if you find yourself preparing to launch into a list, if you have a sentence fragment, do not use a colon. You can say, for example, and then do a little list without a colon, or you can chop off, for example, and use your colon and just make your list. The second use of a colon is to introduce a related clause. Now this is where your equal and unequal weights come into play. So an example of this: we all had the same opinion of Gary. Dirty waster. Dirty waster is kind of the second half of your sentence, and you are using the initial half of your sentence to prep for it, and then your colon introduces the next piece of the sentence. This is kind of relative to the third use of a colon, which is similar to that, but the introduction of a noun. There's only one band I can't stand: Coldplay. Coldplay is a noun, and I am well within my right to use a colon to introduce it. You wouldn't be able to use a semicolon for that at all. Let's tackle semicolons, shall we? Semicolons are the great divider. That is to say that they are used to connect two related clauses that could stand on their own as separate sentences. We did look at this in my video on, I believe it was, commas. If you use a comma to separate two clauses, you have created what we like to call a comma splice. You have spliced together two separate standalone clauses with a comma. Not okay. You can, of course, use a full stop. You're well within your right to just plug a little full stop between those two statements, but what you end up with is two very short, choppy sentences. If that's what you're going for stylistically, and you like a nice, short, concise sentence, or you want your work to sound a little bit abrupt, then that's perfect. Go for it. If you want something that flows a little bit more and sounds more conversational, more approachable, more friendly, a semicolon is your best mate in this particular use case. So an example of using a semicolon to connect two related clauses would be, I went to the local shop. I bought every box of tampons they had. You could make those into two separate sentences and that would be perfectly fine. You can have them as one sentence and separate those two clauses with a semicolon, completely fine. You stick a comma in there, you are in trouble, my friend. So this brings us back to what I said at the beginning, using them on equal weighted sentences and unequal weighted sentences. So a semicolon can only really be used when the two separate halves of the sentence that it divides relate to one another. A colon can be used to introduce lists, nouns, you name it. So there are some instances where it would be kind of your preference if they are similar, but if you're introducing a noun or a list, really you're going to want to go for a colon. So if you're ever unsure, hit me up and I'll help you out. Or you can just do a cheeky Google, but I like to think you're watching this video because you want to learn it, not Google it every time. You get me? So that brings us to the end of the video. I hope you've learned something. I hope you feel a bit more confident about slinging some colons and semicolons into your writing. I know I feel confident. If you have any questions about what I have revealed to you here today, you can pop a comment below or find me on Twitter at @EJCownley and I'll be happy to help. If you like this video and you want to see more like this, you can tap the like button below or subscribe to my channel and I will put out more videos just like this. Just let me know. Shout me out. I don't mind. And until next week, take care and see you soon.